The Cincinnati Reds dropped their fifth straight series to the Diamondbacks today. All hope seems to be going very, very fast on this team, Ricky. But we can talk about some All-Stars potentially since it's about a month away from All-Stars. More on that coming up on Red Hot Reds podcast. Ricky, are you ready?
Let's go.
This is the Red Hot Reds podcast. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast, hosted by myself, Roger Straz, and Reds on SI writer Ricky Logan. We are a podcast that covers the Cincinnati Reds from the majors down to the Dominican Summer League. Today, we're going to talk the Major League Ball Club, unfortunately. A 2-4 week, so like 100% more wins than we had last week, which is, I guess, good, but it didn't feel like that. Ricky, how did you feel about the 2-4 week?
It's about all I got. Just it's sad because, you know, coming into the month of May, we had all this hope and optimism for this team for, you know, the 20-11 start. Everything was going well, the best bullpen in baseball, and yada, yada, yada. And then the calendar flipped to May, and it's just been a disaster ever since.
Yeah, we were thinking June, maybe we reset after that terrible 10-17 May, but it's been more of the same. And that's starting to wear down on the fan base. A lot of people canceling, I think, their MLB.TV subscription I saw on X, the Everything app. So we're going to get into all that. But before we do that, we're going to launch into our sponsors. First and foremost, frostbuddy.com/redhotreds. Got the URL down there and the QR code. Check them out. They've got all these red legs. They got other teams as well. If you're out on the red legs, which we understand because they can take your hope and just crush your dreams sometimes. But a number one dad down there as well. Father's Day is coming up. So if you're looking to get something for your father-in-law, your father, or, you know, for yourself, like I did, I got one for myself for an early Father's Day gift. It's all there for you. Ricky, tell the good people about Frost Buddy.
Yeah, so Frost Buddy, I have the Universal Buddy here with me. I actually have two of them. I got my wife's. So for you ladies out there, they got some female designs out there if you're interested. It's very versatile. You know, it holds your normal, you know, your soda cans, your beer cans. Also holds your tall cans like this one here. Boom, 16-ounce monster in there. And I got mine with me too because I decided I wanted to use mine as a tumbler. So I got my screw-on lid filled with my beverage of choice. So I will say this. I had to work Saturday morning, and I put ice in it at 7:30 in the morning. And just laying around, walked over to my kitchen table at almost 11:30 last night, still had ice in it. So it keeps your drinks cold all day long.
That's awesome. Check out Frost Buddy. They're a great partner. frostbuddy.com/redhotreds to help us. And, you know, that will be great. And the QR code down there, scan it with your phone as well. And, yeah, moving on. All Gloves Off podcast. Shout them out. We've got our guys that Cheap Pop Society just joined up, a wrestling podcast. Fanboys Unleashed have been putting out content about football and the like. And the Far End of the Bench, a Denver sports centric podcast, and they're talking World Cup. So that's a nice little thing because I don't know if you know about that, Ricky. The USA, I guess, is really good now. So that's news to me because I'm a soccer guy, but always kind of a little bit down on the U.S. men's national team.
We've never really had a great team. It seems like all of our players seem to go overseas and play, and then, you know, by the time the World Cup comes around, they're a little older.
Yeah. A big women's national team. They are great. They're always usually great. Shout out Rose Lavelle, Cincinnati's own. U.S. women's national team member. But yeah, if you want your World Cup coverage, you got Far in the Bench. Check them out. Also, check out Lights Out podcast. Check out Sirhan All Eras and Football with Cheese. That will all get you covered, all sorts of different sports and the like. And then check out our shows. This one, Red Hot Reds on Sundays, and then Minor League Mondays. We also had updated interview check-in with our favorite AAA reliever, Trevor Kunsel. Check out that interview. It's on our channel. And he talks about his experience through spring training all the way up to what he's been doing in AAA.
Yeah, he was a great conversation. I love talking to him. He's such a good dude. And with the way this bullpen's been pitching, he might be coming up here very soon.
Yeah. Also a teaser. We talk about food again. So our food podcast is back. So check that out if you're into talking all things Cincinnati food and everything else. But let's launch into it, Ricky.
Roger, we got one more thing we got to talk about. We might have to pay these people to go. So what better way to go to a Cincinnati Reds game is by getting free tickets.
That is true. We do have that giveaway still going.
4th, a Eugenio Suarez bobblehead day against the Milwaukee Brewers. Like I said, you're not paying for the tickets. They're free. All you got to do is comment a picture of you being subscribed on either of our pin posts on Facebook, X. There's stories on Instagram. We got about 28 people, I think, in here. So you got a 1 in 28 chance of getting 2 free tickets. What better way to go to a game than get them for free? So, just take a picture of your screenshot, take a picture of your TV showing you're subscribed, whatever it is. And, just free tickets.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you got the MLB Ballpark app. If you do win it, I send it through there. They're digital tickets, not physical tickets left at the will call if people still do that. I don't know if people still do that anyway.
Do they even exist anymore?
I get it from time to time. Usually it's theater. It's like like the Aronoff type of thing. They have it at will call. You know what I mean? Make it easier than having to have your phone app. Anyway, have the MLB Ballpark app and you get the 2 free tickets. A lot of people like bobbleheads. It's a City Connect 1.0 Eugenio Suarez bobblehead. So still a little bit of time left. Not much, but sign up today. Moving on, now we'll talk about the Red Legs and a little bit of Gino Suarez, who has not been lighting the world on fire. But the Reds really haven't been lighting the world on fire either, especially their bullpen. I don't even know. The stat was put out there that they've had the meltdowns since May 1st. The Reds have had 30 plus bullpen meltdowns, which is where they either lose the lead, get the loss, blow a tie like they did today, where it was 2-2. And they end up giving up 3-3, and Maxwell gives up the home run today to make it 4-3. And basically the Reds didn't have any real response back to that. It's been kind of a same old in terms of the bullpen being really bad since May 1st. Ricky, is there any little thing? Is there any sign of life? Is there any positive spin that we can put on this bullpen at the moment, or are we just going to experience the same old going forward?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess the only positives is that Emilio Pagán's going to throw a live bullpen on Friday, and Pierce Johnson's going to throw one tomorrow. Pagán hasn't been great, but you could probably attribute that to the hamstring. I remember when he got the injury in Chicago, they had mentioned that he had tweaked it like weeks ago. So maybe that was the effect, and we'll see him get back to looking like last year's Pagán, which he was one of the better closers in baseball. Pierce Johnson really struggled earlier in the year, figured it out later on, became, he was a little bit of a closer for a little bit when Pagán was out, and then, the injury with the elbow for him. I guess that's the only hope. You would hope Maxwell and Luis May and Sam Moll and TJ Antone and all these guys would be enough to hold you over Tony Santillan, whoever, name your next reliever. I'm not we were so high on the bullpen coming out of spring training and coming out of April that we were just, even if they regressed a little bit, we felt good. But they completely regressed into like the worst. They went from first to worst within a calendar day. Like it's I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and you bring out Luis May, and Luis May, I think, in Louisville today gave up 4 runs out of the bullpen for that. So, like, even the guys that we know have high potential and maybe need to figure out a little bit of things of control and not walking, they ain't seem to be the answer either. When you got guys that are coming off of 3 UCL surgeries, and TJ Antone and Sam Moll, who was basically a DFA candidate for the longest time, being your most bullpen, dependable bullpen arms first out of there. That's crazy. And the other crazy part about this bullpen thing is it's not like they're not trying. They flew Chase Petty halfway across the country to put, to bolster the bullpen, to bolster the pitching out there in San Diego for the last game of the series. Something that I don't think the David Bell era would have ever done. Basically spend a bunch of money to send a guy all the way to San Diego. They would have waited till he got back home to call Petty up, but that's neither here nor there.
That's desperation right there.
But it didn't work. That's the thing. It's like it's the thing I brought up like last time. Murphy's Law. If anything is going to go wrong, does go wrong. Chase Petty comes up in the 9th inning, which is not an ideal spot for a guy who's been
never pitched out of the bullpen before.
Yeah, I feel like he did maybe a little bit, probably piggybacking stuff in AAA and stuff like that. You know what I mean, to get rehab innings in, but like nothing like 9th inning. Nothing against, Fernando Tatis Jr., who by all accounts is having a pretty terrible year by his standards. Had some, I guess, get right at bats against the Reds because he looked pretty good, or at least back to what you kind of think Fernando Tatis Jr. is. But that just kind of like, oh man. So this is the type of season we're having. We're gonna get Chase Petty, who's a guy that we both feel should be up at the major league club, consistently, not doing this yo-yo thing where he's the 27th man on a double header day and back down the next, or being called up and then optioned down a couple starts later. He needs to be a part of it. Whether he's going to be the Nick Martinez role and just come in, fine, so be it. If they don't feel comfortable starting him in games, but I don't know, man. If put him in a tough spot, he didn't come through, and that's been the case for a lot of these guys in the bullpen. They've been put in tough spots, high leverage situation. Tony Santillan actually started to look a little better. I guess maybe that's a little bright spot. He kind of looked a little bit better by his standards of late, but that's not getting the job done, unfortunately.
Yeah. And, TJ Antone has a 3.24 ERA. Sam Moll has a 2.79 ERA. And that's really your best bullpen arms that you have. Maxwell's bullpen's up to 10 after his blown, technically not a blown save. Antone technically blew the save, but loss. He earned the loss with that. Yeah. Blew the game regardless. And then Paddock, his ERA is 7.21. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like even with Santillan kind of turning it on lately, Chase Petty has a better ERA than Tony Santillan this year. So, wow. And I will say this, I do like Petty in the bullpen. I don't like it forever. I would like him to get a chance as a starter. But then again, if Hunter Green is going to be healthy and stick around, and if there's eventually not going to be an innings limit on Chase Burns, and Rhett Lauder can be consistent, and then you have Andrew Abbott, but then I guess the only path would be is if you trade Lodolo, and that would open the door for Petty, because you've also got Brady Singer. That's also a thing too. But he's only got this year left.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they view him as long term. I would hope a starter, because I do think like I've always said, I think his ceiling's Sonny Gray if he can figure it out.
Yeah.
And he looked really good on Saturday. It's just was confident. He had his pitches going. He did kind of run into some trouble a couple times, but he did well, and he got out of it. And it looked like that's the Chase Petty that we've seen in AAA this season. Anyway, can get himself into trouble, but finds a way to get out of it most of the time. He has his moments, but he finds a way to get out of it. And yeah, that's a possibility, is keeping him up for the rest of the season. I think I'd rather see him than, you're probably going to disagree, but I'd probably rather see him than Julio Franco in the bullpen. But we're relying on rookies still, and that's the problem. Is even if we bring up Trevor Kunsel, we're relying on a rookie to save the bullpen, and you shouldn't. That's something that the Reds have kind of relied on offensively over the last couple of years too. Is in 2023 they bring up the young core, and they somewhat saved the season after a 100-loss season, and then you expect them to grow, and then they didn't. But part of it is just terrible managing. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess I'm in a roundabout way. It sucks that we don't have Ashcraft. It sucks that Pagán's hurt. It sucks that Johnson's been hurt. And it really sucks that Tony Santillan really hasn't been great this year, because that's 4 guys that are very important pitchers in your bullpen. And, Sam Moll shouldn't be a 7th or an 8th inning guy. He should be like a 6th or 7th inning guy. And, you would hope that your 7th, 8th, and 9th would be like Ashcraft, Johnson / Santillan / Pagán, and then you throw Burke in there somewhere. But it's just none of it's working. It's just nothing's working. This bullpen has just been absolute trash this past month, and it's not an indictment on them as people. It's just they've just been terrible.
Yeah, the margins have gotten so much smaller for this team because their offense is not what it was in April, saving them as well. Like, we're talking about this, we're going to talk about this next series, but we're talking about they barely scored enough runs to be in the ball game. Like, it was like a Marte, and if he doesn't, get called up a couple weeks ago or whatever it was, like they have no chance. They get swept, and they only win by the smallest of margins. In the game in San Diego, they win in 11 innings, and it's just by 1 run. So it's like the bullpen has to be near perfect, and they haven't been anything but perfect. There is a little bit of silver lining, I think, like you said, with Pierce Johnson coming back, Pagán coming back. Connor Phillips, before we start to get into the next series, he's starting to figure it out a little bit at AAA. I think he's got 9 innings out of the bullpen, only 1 earned run, and has been striking out a lot of guys, and has been looking like the Connor Phillips that we had come to know at the end of last year and a little bit at the beginning of this year. He might be the option before if this season is going to start going off the rails. I think you're right. We need to get fresh blood, DFA guys, trade guys. Like Hunter Parks has been fantastic in AAA. Aside from a couple outings, Trevor Kunsel's been fantastic in AAA. That's what we need to do, is that maybe get some new blood in there, so that way maybe this bullpen will be a little bit more seasoned and ready for the 2027 season, if it should happen, with Hunter Parks, Kunsel, Phillips, those kind of guys in the bullpen at that point. You know what I mean? But I guess we'll see that as it plays out this year.
Yeah, I didn't realize how lively Hunter Parks' fastball was. It's like triple digits fast. I didn't realize how good his fastball was.
I think the thing that was it was control, and I think I got a little bit hurt at the Arizona Fall League last year and pitched only a little bit. And then like Kevin Abel came in and pitched a little bit for the Arizona Fall League with Trevor Kunsel out there and Luke Hayden and whatnot. But I think it was more control, and it seems like maybe Parks has figured that out, because his walk to strikeout ratio is really nice. And obviously, I looked at this, Ricky, just to go down. I'll probably talk about more in Minor League Monday. 20 appearances this year between AA and AAA for Mr. Hunter Parks. 1 run.
Jeez.
That's it. That's all I got. Stat of the day. But anyway.
Stat of the day.
All right. If you're ready, we can talk about this San Diego series that – yeah, I when I saw the San Diego series, and like it was kind of up and down, they were competitive, signs of life, I guess you can say. Like you talk about that they lose 6-2 on Monday, they win 5-3 on Tuesday game, and lose 5-4 on Wednesday. I hear whispers of the David Bell, we're close. And even though that the fan base obviously does not feel that we're close, statistically they were pretty competitive. They ran into another team like the Padres that just haven't been hitting this year. So that gave at least the Reds a chance, and they had some decent performances. out there in San Diego, but just didn't have enough. What were your initial thoughts in the San Diego series?
Yeah, just kind of more of the same. Game one, they get 9 hits, just 2 runs. But I will say Matt McClain has looked a lot better since Edwin Arroyo got promoted.
Yeah.
So that's really good to see. He goes 2 for 3 in that first game. It was kind of nice to see Sal Stewart have that go-ahead home run in, was it Tuesday's game?
Yeah.
And I think we saw Suarez's first extra base hit in a while.
Yeah.
So that was nice too. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, especially with the finale with Petty giving up the home run, because he looked good. 10 of his 17 pitches were for strikes, and he just threw a slider up and away, and it just didn't get off the plate enough. And I think he was just kind of looking slider and hit it 1 row over the fence, and it just happened to be, the walk-off home run. But yeah, I wanted to pull up McClain's stats just because they had him hitting leadoff in the finale, and he went 1 for 5. But McClain in his last 7 games, 280 with a 979 OPS. So, OPS. So good to see him getting back and looking good. Other than that, this team really needs Ellie back. And I just there was some, like you said, there was some silver linings. There was some good things to talk about. It's just when you come away with 1 win out of the series, it sucks.
It's deflating because, like I said, the Padres weren't playing better. It wasn't like they were a better team. Like, it wasn't a situation where we were going up against the Braves and we were toe to toe with the Braves. That wasn't the scenario here. We were going up against it should be a good team. They're not playing well at the moment. We're not playing well at the moment. We're in it for the most part. Maybe not so much the first game, because it feels like if the other team gets 4 or 5 runs, the Reds they don't have enough. And that's what you said. It's a good point with Ellie. Now that Ellie is out, the margins are that much smaller. The pressure is that much more on the bullpen and the starters to not give up runs, because you're not going to win games. Without the extra innings, the Reds had 3 runs that game, and the 2-run homer by Mr. Sal Stewart in the 11th inning is the difference. But then the other win this week that we'll get into with the Diamondbacks, we scored only 2 runs. Like this is like some weird, bizarro Reds. Like, I know Tito has that thing where, like, he says, I'd like to win every game 1-0, but like, dude, I mean, you got to have a lot more offense than just 1-0 in today's game, because I don't know, you can't throw out relievers like every single at bat. They have to face minimum 3 batters. They have to be able to have enough, because starters aren't going as long, so you can't tax the bullpen every single day. It's a different Major League Baseball than maybe Tito had in 2004 and 2007, when the Yankees and the Red Sox had 4-hour-long games, and they can change a reliever every at bat just to get the right matchup. It's a different baseball a little bit with these 2023 rules instituted. So with that being said, I'm not saying it's not all on Tito, because I know we gave him a lot of credit to throughout last year and then beginning of this year that he can manage a bullpen. He's not managing it well, and these guys aren't performing well. So the combination of that and their offense going silent for long stretches, missing Ellie, is a terrible combination to have.
Yeah, I mean, there is blame to put on him, but when you have nobody to really rely on, it just sucks, because there isn't anybody that has been good. And obviously, if there was somebody that was good, you can't throw them out there every day. But getting back to your point about scoring 4 or 5 runs, I was looking at the scores for the past week and a half. The games that they've won, the opponent has scored 3 or less every time. So your 4 or 5 runs that tracks, because the game they won in versus Kansas City 4-3. They lost every game in St. Louis. They all scored 5 runs or more. It was 10-3, 6-5, 5-3. San Diego 6-2 loss, 5-3 win. So there's your less than 4. 5-4 loss, 5-2 loss Friday versus Arizona. 2-1 win for Cincinnati. They only scored 1 run. Arizona did. 5-3 loss. So every game this month, when the Reds have lost, the team has scored 4 or more runs.
That's crazy. And this is a organization that doesn't get offensive players. They either can't develop them at a consistent rate, enough to have, enough to score enough runs. It feels like we get the Sal Stewarts every so often. We get Ellie every so often, but just not enough. And this is also when we have JJ Bleday that we signed after he got DFA'd by the Athletics. That 3 guys maybe is not enough, but it feels like, where is the rest of the production from the other guys? Like you said, Matt McLean a little bit ever since Ellie went on the IL, but unfortunately, Edwin Arroyo has not had a spark. Gino Suarez has not been the spark consistently enough. Nate Lowe kind of has gone a little quiet, not necessarily as productive as he was earlier in the year. It's slim pickings, and this offense is not one that, it feels like it's just so hard to squeeze anything out of this offense at times.
Yeah, that's about all I can say too. It's been like that for a few years now too. It's not like it's a new thing.
Yeah, and that leads us into the Diamondback series, because we're doing the same old type of talk of we're going into another series against a team that's about the same record, 500 or thereabouts, potentially going to compete for the wild card. They have some good pieces. They're not necessarily a terrible franchise. They got Corbin Carroll. Arenado is still hanging on. His 17th or 18th season in Major League Baseball or what have you. They got that Kettle Marte. They got some guys that look like it'd be decent pieces on some teams. But, man, I thought if they were close in San Diego, this would be a nice come home, get right series. Abbott bobblehead day on Saturday. Friday, City Connect 1.0, Fireworks Friday. This would be the series that we get back on track, maybe get the home juice cooking, offense going. But no, man, it's still – we can't shake it. We can't seem to find the right combination of the lineup. The pitching has been a little bit better. You know what I mean? We're not throwing out there guys that are going 7 innings. It's 5 2/3 or 5 innings like Abbott today. I don't know, man. It just seems to be probably one of Tito's most difficult managing seasons to manage this year, it feels like, because he's not pulling the right strings, whatever it may be. The one string the guy we'll be talking about a little bit later, possibly, Noelvi Marte seems to have pulled the right strings, and he seems to be back on track. Maybe he's going to be a guy that could, get this offense going and get these guys going in the right direction. But what were your takeaways from the Diamondbacks series?
It was nice to see Lodolo throw well on Friday. You were there on Friday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. But 5 strikeouts, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk. Has really been throwing the ball well over his last few starts. I think his last 2 starts, he has a walk in each of them, and that's good to see. Antone, prior to Sunday, has been really, really good. And he wasn't bad on Sunday, but it's just unfortunate that he was just there for the game-tying home run. And Maxwell, I don't know what else to say about Maxwell. I don't know what his future looks like, because it seems like he can't locate pitches at all. Can throw the ball 1,000 miles an hour, but can't throw it over the plate. 2 walks on Friday. I think he had a couple walks on Sunday. Pull that up. 1 walk on Sunday. Just you can't have it. You know, you just can't have it. And unfortunately, like Luis May isn't much better. Connor Phillips had his moments earlier in the season where he looked really good, but when he loses it, I think he loses everything. And I think, you know, you can't always send the guy down to the complex league to figure things out. And, you know, but I don't know. It's just, it was an unfortunate series that, you know, we had high hopes for both series. You know, you expected to at least take 2 out of 3 in one of them, and you lose 2 out of 3 in both of them. And unfortunately, I just don't think it gets much better the rest of the month. They play New York, and then they play at the Yankees. So they're only away for 3 games, but then they're only home for 3 games, and then they go on the road to Pittsburgh and then Milwaukee to start July. So it's gonna be tough sledding, because looking ahead on the calendar, you know, you play in Milwaukee, then you play Baltimore at home, Philadelphia at home, the Cubs at home, then you got the All-Star break. Then you're on the road to Colorado, Seattle, and St. Louis, and then you're playing Cleveland and Pittsburgh at home after that. And you're at Pittsburgh for a 4-game series to end July, going into the trade deadline. So a lot of foreshadowing down there, but still, it's you need to get right now, because later on is going to be rough. And then if you're looking at a playoff push at the end of the season, you got San Diego, Milwaukee, Dodgers, Brewers, Dodgers, Cubs, Braves, Blue Jays to end your season.
Yeah,
it's not looking great. It's not looking great.
No, I remember making jokes about when the schedule usually comes out like June or July the year prior, so you already know like what the season's going to look like the next year. And I was like, oh man, we better clinch like August 31st, because there's no way. But now the whole scenario is flipped. Now we're probably, at least at the moment, possibly just going to be sellers and just enjoying our last couple months, calling up guys and seeing what we got in September. But yeah, you're right. I was there Friday. It was nice. Superstar Mark Fetters joined me to go look out on the Budweiser deck to watch the game. It was nice. It was a really nice night. The weather turned out really nice. The Reds were competitive, to say the least, which is it's kind of ridiculous that we have to say that the team is at least competitive, because they've been very uncompetitive lately in certain series, namely like the Cardinals is one. I guess division opponents is one, like the Cubs and the Pirates of late. You know what I mean? Like those series, they've been super uncompetitive. But it was good to see them somewhat competitive against the Diamondbacks. Lodolo was throwing pretty well. It felt like pulling teeth, this offense, man. Like we get Marte, the 1 home run that gets us up 1-0. And then we got gifted a run because Jordan Lawler, center fielder, I think, for the Diamondbacks, threw it into his dugout. And there was some controversy because Gino Suarez was the guy who, you know, hit the blue pit to get Steer to third. But for some reason, Gino wasn't hustling out of the box and didn't even get close to like making an attempt to second base, even slow down. Because there was a thought that because of the ball going into the opponent's dugout, that Steer gets home on the error, and that possibly Gino, as he was approaching second, would get third base on the base error. No, Gino wasn't even close. He only got awarded second base on the error. So that little things seem to pile up for this team. And with the bullpen being as it is, where they walk guys like today with Paddock walking in the 9th and giving up runs, like those little things add up over time. So it all in all, I'm saying is like this team is not a good baseball team. This team is doing things that Tito has always preached, to always focus on the small things, do the little small things, and that'll add up. You know, don't give up outs. You know what I mean? Like run the bases well. It seems like we're not doing that, and it's not like it's completely like this is a 100 loss type of team that has no chance every time they go out there. It feels like they do have a chance, but they don't seem to do the small winning plays anymore like they did in April. It seems to kind of add up that way.
So you're saying it almost feels like there's no accountability.
Not even accountability. I don't know what Tito can do to have Gino Suarez get out the box faster, right? Other than, like you said, maybe you send him down and bench him. But like, this is a veteran that should know, hey, this is a bloop hit. Maybe he's trying to prevent, maybe Lawler throws the second to maybe make that play, as opposed to what Lawler ended up doing. He ended up airmailing it or skipping it into the third baseman and end up going into the dugout. So like, maybe there's a read on there that basically, Gino doesn't want to make an out at second base when he could have first and third with, I think, one out, as opposed to maybe getting thrown out at second and making it 2 outs there. But either way, it turned out to be a situation that they could have maybe got more out of it. And also in that same game, talk about little things that add up. They had 3 straight walks from Eduardo
Rodriguez,
the Venezuelan World Baseball Classic winner. He walked 3 straight guys, had the bases loaded, I think, with 1 out. They do nothing. Those little things add up over time in the course of a 162 game season. That seems to be what the narrative on this team is that they don't have either the personnel to make the right plays or get all 27 outs without blowing leads. And they seem they don't have enough winning players in this lineup to get, and that obviously is being even a bigger spotlight on the Ellie injury, is that he was a winning player. Obviously he has his flaws and stuff like that from time to time, striking out a little bit too much, but what are you going to do now? Right. Like, Sal is not hitting at the clip he did at the beginning of the year. He's in like a 240s, 250s right now, still productive enough to stay in the lineup every day, but not making enough winning plays himself. And that's starting to compound. Like, all these little things start to compound over the course of the season. And, it just seems to get more and more frustrating as a fan base to watch this team not make winning plays anymore.
Yeah, so you were talking about Rodriguez, Eduardo. He went 2 2/3 on Friday, 5 walks, 1 earned run, and that was on a home run, I believe. So
yeah, and this was the thing. We were Mark and I, superstar Mark Fetters, were counting the pitches. He had 80 pitches in the 3rd inning. This is exactly, and the book on the Diamondbacks is that their bullpen was just as terrible as ours. So we're like, okay, we can maybe live with loading the bases and getting nothing in the bottom of the first. Fine. But if we're getting Eduardo Rodriguez out of the game, we're going to get to this bullpen that's just going to give us runs. Nope. We only scored 1 more run thanks to Jordan Lawler throwing it in the dugout to make it 2 runs on the day. And then, if we must, Ricky, the play that just kind of broke me and broke Mark was Mr. Blake Dunn. He's been so good this year. I'm going to preface it that way. He's been so good this year in the outfield for us. Not even talking about his approach to the plate and being a decent leadoff hitter and a guy that has been productive since he's been called up. But goodness, I don't know exactly what it was. I have to look back and see. It looked like he took a kind of awkward route to begin with. It didn't necessarily look like he had the cleanest read on it. Maybe it ended up being that he got there. He's got that speed, right? Like, he's got that notorious. He's got ability to close down on the ball. But I don't know if his concentration left him. I don't know if something in the lights got him. But he got his glove on the ball, and I don't know how exactly one goes about that. You know what I mean? Maybe they pull their eyes away from their glove for a split second. It would have been the 3rd out, right? Like, this is not like this was the first out of the inning, and there could be a tag up situation in play or anything like that. This was the 3rd out of the inning, and it broke Mark and I. And I literally had to cover my face in embarrassment for Blake Dunn, because that gave the game away, unfortunately. And it wasn't anything really of Brock Burke's fault at that point. He had gotten the 2 outs previously. It was just a hard hit ball that wasn't an easy read because it was coming straight at kind of Blake Dunn a bit. That's why his route kind of went out to the side and then came back. I don't know. I don't even know really what to make of that play, other than, like a lot of people have been saying in the Cincinnati Reds media space, is that we're just finding new ways to lose. And that's another one right there.
Yeah, that was a tough play to watch, because that they were tied, right? So that gets them, and that was a 2nd out. That would have been a 3rd out if he had caught it, and that you're looking at going into the bottom of the ninth with a chance to win it. And instead, they give up 2 runs in that inning. Right? They lose 5-2, and or 3 runs. Right, altogether.
I think that individual hit got 2 runs, and they might have got attacked on another after that.
Because it was 2-2 before the play, and then it went to 4-2, and then they scored another run. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So overall, just I have no words. It was, what else is going to happen?
A part of me was thinking, like, obviously the baseball gods like to even out things, and over the course of time, it feels like for baseball, it feels, Blake Dunn stole a couple runs, stole a couple hits of late in the outfield. And also maybe cosmically the Reds getting in by the luck of the Mets losing game 162 to the Marlins. Maybe there's some sort of balancing out that's happening, man, or something like that. Cause like, it feels like the Reds had everything going their way in 2025. They didn't have long stretches of losses like we've had here with, I think since the Met series we're 4-12. So like it's kind of crazy, just like the 8-game losing streak to division opponents and one against the Astros. 2025 was nothing like this. This seems like a totally different team, at least in terms of the performance. Nothing seems to be going right at the moment. The bullpen's in shambles. Starting pitching's been injured off and on with some of the most important starters. It's been a mess, but I don't know. Like a lot of people, we're finding it's more and more difficult to talk about this team because we don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking back at the calendar, they haven't won a series in June yet. But you go back to May, they lost 8 in a row.
Yeah, 8.
And then they end up winning the Houston series.
Yeah. They
lose the series to Cleveland. They somehow win the series in Philadelphia. And then did they won the series, or
which one?
St. Louis. They had they split the doubleheader. Friday got postponed.
They rained out. Yeah, it was 1-1.
And then Sunday got postponed. I think it gets moved later in the season, right?
In August.
And then they take 2 out of 3 in New York, but then they lose 2 out of 3 versus Atlanta. And then, the calendar flips. Obviously, Ellie gets hurt on that Sunday game versus Atlanta. But, they haven't looked good in June either. It's just eventually water has to find its level. I just don't know where the level is going to be. Is this team a 500 team, or is it is Fangraphs right and they win 77, 78 games, or do they find a way to get to 80 or 82 and still miss the playoffs? But I know one thing, it's not going to come down to the Mets losing 162 this year. They're going to have to get in there if they're going to have a chance this year.
Heck, the NL Central is great this year. They might have another 3 playoff team scenario, right? So like it could be the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Cubs? Pirates, yeah, okay. Yeah, Cubs stink. Anyway, at least we got that. Also, I want to put this stat out there. The Reds are 3-9 since first word came on the air.
Sorry, James.
Yeah. The Reds are giving you the negative content, I guess. You can rip them. And I just saw his tweet. He also said that at least the Reds got us to Bengals mini camp. I was like, oh God, we're going there. And I mean, I also, put out there, is it football season yet? Because dark thoughts. This team is. I will say this, and we'll talk about the Mets and Yankees. We got Chase Burns coming up, 2 starts this week, so there is a little bit more positivity this week. Yeah, I don't know. You got anything else about this Diamondback series before we move it on?
No.
Speaking of Chase Burns, the All-Star break is about a month from now, right? I think the voting is going on right now, so go to reds.com/vote to get your guys in there. But we've got some guys that are actually worthy of getting in this All-Star game, albeit with all this losing and all this terrible play around them. We've got some guys that could be deserving. I think I've got a couple guys here that I've been, voting for and trying to get into the All-Star game one way or the other. I know that unfortunately, the big market teams seem to get their guys in with the voting. one way or the other in terms of, like the Dodgers seem to always have Mookie Betts at shortstop for some weird reason. I don't even, does he even
He's
play?
been really bad this year.
Yeah, so he'll probably get voted in anyway. But there's that thing. But I guess I'll start with this. Who is your guy that you think is most deserving to make the All-Star team? How many do the Reds get in? Because they're guaranteed one, luckily, so we get to see one guy. But what is your initial All-Star nominations for this team?
I think the lock for me is Chase Burns. I think he's just been so well that he's got potential to be the starter for the National League. I don't think he does, but I think he should be in the conversation for it. I think the Phillies pitcher would probably be the starter if I had to guess. But I guess two that I would say that could sneak in would be, he's really cooled down lately, is JJ Bleday. He did have a home run Sunday, but 266 average, has fallen from that 300 range. Still has a 931 OPS, so that's still really good. And for as good as Spencer Steer has been for the last month and a half, almost 2 months, he's still only batting 251 with the 763 OPS.
Okay.
So I don't think that makes the cut. And then I guess the one that would be, maybe we can both talk about this one, would be Ellie. Just if he gets back, let's just say today's Sunday. So if he comes back next Sunday and he plays a solid, month of baseball, he maybe gets in as like a coach's pick or something. But if they get two, I would assume that it would be Ellie and Burns. Ellie just from the popularity of him being Ellie, and Burns being from the way he's pitched and 100% deserving to be in there in some capacity.
Yeah, it very much similar to what I got. I think Ellie is actually the lock. I'm really concerned about the Burns stuff because they don't talk about him in the same way nationally as some other guys that I don't know if I want to name, but in our division especially.
Well, I think managers see that. Who would I'm assuming the managers would be the World Series coaches, right? So it would be Dave Roberts and
Schneider. Is it in Toronto?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think Dave Roberts has enough awareness around the league, not just listening to the media. I think he would know Chase Burns' stuff, but yeah, continue.
I like to think so, but it's just, I don't know. It feels like he gets really overlooked. There's a lot of guys in our division that can pitch, obviously, but it never seemed to mention him even in like the top 5. And we're talking about a guy in Chase Burns who's got 3.4 baseball reference WAR, 7-1 record, 2.14 ERA. Like that's elite stuff. Like you said, Christopher Sanchez is definitely probably going to start because he had that 50 inning scoreless streak. And the All-Star game is in Philadelphia. So that kind of shoes him in there. And there's a bunch of other guys that are really talented as well. I'm not saying that Chase Burns is number 2 in the NL. I just think he should be in the All-Star game. But I think Ellie actually is the lock, even though he's going to miss a little bit, because this is a guy who's got 2.1 baseball reference WAR and has missed the last couple weeks and hopefully can get back on track the next couple weeks when he comes back from injury. The status report is that he's 90% healed from his hamstring injury, which, if Ellie wanted to play tomorrow and the organization let him, he would. But I think they want to get him closer to 100 before they do all that. But another outside guy that has only played 41 games out of the 67, 68 games that we played this year, JJ Bleday for sure. Yeah, exactly. 12 homers and 30 RBIs in 40 games. Like, obviously, there's a woulda, coulda, shoulda brought him up earlier type of thing, but his month of May earned him the player of the month. And I think the stats on that for the Reds is that the last guy, do you know who the last guy was player of the month before JJ Bleday?
Is he Canadian?
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph Daniel Votto.
In 2021. Like, that's like 5 years ago, dude. Like 5 years that the Reds have never had a player worthy consistently played well enough to get player of the month. That's another podcast. But anyway, that I think is enough to at least get him an outside chance. Maybe he's a guy that, there's a bunch of injuries, right, that happen, which is I think what happened to Burns is like kind of Abbott last year got added to the All-Star after a bunch of guys were scratched because they didn't want to get hurt or were hurt or what have you. So that could be it. So I think at minimum, I think the Reds have 2 All-Stars, which is kind of what they've been doing the last couple of years, but 3 would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, 3 would be a stretch, I think, but I think there's a way they get 2. Honestly, I really do. And I think part of that would be maybe a little bit of the Tito effect where, a lot of managers respect Tito, especially in the National League. And I would assume that he probably, being a playoff team last year, probably gets to be a part of that coaching staff and maybe has a say on who gets to join them or not. But yeah, I mean, there's a path to 3, but I don't know how realistic it is. If Blade can turn it up again, I think he can definitely earn a spot.
Yeah. It is sad that we're not talking about Sal Stu in this conversation because
he looked like a lock in April.
A lock, maybe even a potential starter if he was having the month he had in April, the same, in May and June. But that unfortunately is kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, unfortunately for us. But we know that he is capable of replicating that kind of production that he had in April. It's just a matter of doing it more consistently at the major league level. So that's kind of unfortunate because we were definitely talking about that. I feel like in the April podcast that we're like, yeah, okay, Ellie, Sal, Chase, okay, maybe I don't know who else was it. I think we were like Ashcraft. We were like throwing a bunch of guys, and slowly, little by little,
Phillips.
Yeah, little by little, we were kind of peeling off a bunch of guys that are no longer in this conversation. Unfortunately, hopefully, we're not doing that in a couple weeks. Talking about a couple other guys missing out. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else you got on potential all-stars for these guys?
No, but I wanted to mention this real quick before we move on to our next segment. So I was doing some research on the bullpen earlier in the day. And it's funny that, we saw where Tyler Callahan had his first first major league home run for the Pirates earlier this week.
Yep.
Went into the Allegheny, and Kyle Nicholas plays for the Orioles organization now. We got him, traded him for cash. And we were kind of, I don't want to say we were high on him, but I think we had some expectations to be something. And that kind of goes back into that bullpen topic. It's just and it's the same with Leon Richardson. He gets I forget who gets DFA'd for him, but somebody got DFA'd, or maybe it was the trade for Nichols. But somebody got DFA'd for Leon Richardson to get promoted, and he has 3 straight walks, gives up a grand slam, and he is now a Brewer. So it's just a testament to how bad the bullpen's been. I was just some note I just had pop in my head just thinking about it.
Yeah, and Zach McCambley, who we got in the Reese Hines trade, was looking pretty good, and he's been pretty good in AAA. So I don't know why they didn't give him a little bit longer leash, but maybe they will later in the year. He's got options, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. He seemed to be a bright spot in a very dark, dreary bullpen world that we live in right now. So yeah, all right. Shout out to Kyle Nicholas. Good luck in Baltimore. Lion, not so much good luck because I don't want to see you pitch against us.
And let's go cash.
Yeah, Bob loves cash. But anyway, speaking of, a guy that we also had high hopes of maybe being an all-star, but it has had his ups and downs, had been killing it in AAA after he got optioned down, I don't know, mid-April around there, I want to say, or the timeline's all messed up. I can't remember anything past the first.
Feels like last week, but it was he got optioned down on.
It was after his bobblehead. That was it.
That's what it was. April 13th.
Yeah, so mid-May or mid-April. So yeah, Mr. Noelvi Marte is our red hot red of the week because he has come back hitting just like he had been a little bit in AAA. not necessarily the most spectacular week, but that's what kind of, unfortunate week the Reds had.
That's what you get nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. He's got, a 3 home run streak that he could go into tomorrow and hit another one, 3 straight games with a home run. But unfortunately, no one was on base when he had those home runs. So he's got 3 home runs, 3 RBIs. He did contribute 3 steals, which was nice, and was hitting 316 for the week. So that is your Red Hot Red of the week. He's a guy that you love to see him get hot. You love, because with the Ellie injury and with McLean and Arroyo not doing enough, it feels. Blade doing his thing a little bit. It feels like we need a little bit of spark somewhere, and if it could be from him, that could go a long way.
Yeah, he only has 55 at bats this year. The 3 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 3 RBIs, 671 OPS. Yeah, it's really good to see him playing. He got a little bit of time in center field, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Didn't look spectacular, but it was his first major league game in center field in Cincinnati. His debut game was in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, I believe. Looks pretty decent in right field. I like the move that they made with the outfield stuff for him. But he's the kind of guy that can get really hot, and he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna hit a ton of home runs, but he could easily hit 15 to 20, and you would be satisfied with that from him. And if he can cut down the strikeouts, which he's done a good job of, he's only struck out twice in his last 3 games, so that's good. No walks though, but if he's getting hits, it's fine. You'd love to see a little bit more walks out of him, but I mean, I'll take it. But I'm a huge fan of Noelvi Marte. I had his picture on my Twitter header for like a year. I was like the only guy hyping him up during his suspension for 2024, and I was the only guy I felt like that was behind him through the 2024 struggles, and I had the hype trailer made for him for third base going into 25, and it just didn't work at third base. And then he goes and at least has a solid stretch last year where he looked like a really good major league player, where you think this guy has potential to be an all-star one day. So not this year. I'd love to see him put together a really good stretch of baseball next year, and you're looking at him as a legitimate contender to be an all-star in 27. But yeah, really good week from him. Really excited to see him back up here and playing well. And yeah, it's just glad he's back.
For sure. And the story of Noelvi Marte is so up and down, and with him with the PEDs and stuff like that, and then missing half a year, and then going up and down from AAA to the majors, a little bit here and there. Finally, I think eclipsing the 162 game mark late last year. So this is a guy that got called up in 2023, but hadn't played his 162nd game in the majors until August, September of 2025, which is crazy. And then he learned a new position middle of the year, which is crazy because usually you get punished with that, because outfield is it's real clear when you make mistakes in the outfield. You know what I mean? Blake Dunn will attest to that. But I'm really confident in him to build on this success, because somebody's going to have to provide the offensive spark. It was a little bit McLean. It's been JJ Bidet off and on. If it's also coming from Noelvi Marte, it gives us a better chance to score runs, because he's got the potential. And yeah, an outfield of him, JJ Bidet, and Blake Dunn in 2027 doesn't sound too bad to me right now, the way those guys have been playing.
Yeah, I mean, you also got Hector Rodriguez, who could be up there, and my guy, Austin Hendrick, who could be up there. But
Michael Toglia,
he's been really good. I think he deserves a shot. Yeah, I mean, that's – I'm not sure about Will Benson much anymore. I love Will Benson. It's just he just hasn't put it together. I don't know what it is. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good – Dane Myers. That's a good outfield.
Yeah, I forgot about Dave Myers. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so we'll see what 2027 holds. I don't know why we're looking so far ahead. Maybe because we don't want to look at the present.
2029, we're gonna have Steele Hall, Alfredo Duno, Cam Collier,
Tyson Lewis,
Pablo Nunez, Hervin Murillo.
Yeah,
Let's just name all of our guys.
Alfredo Duno. Yeah,
Hunter Parks is going to be your closer.
Yeah,
Trevor Kunsel is going to be your setup guy. We're going to see Jose Acuna and Iker Radona will be your ace of the staff.
Yeah. That reminds me of like a Twitter post that kept putting out there. Like, I don't know why it got into my algorithm, but it was always a post about look at this Pirates 2029 lineup and rotation. I'm like, why? And then I'm like, oh,
why the Pirates?
Well, the Pirates, have had, decent prospects that have come through and all that stuff like that. But now I'm like, oh, yeah, what would that look like for the Reds in 2029?
All right, let's not on script. Let's do this.
Oh, goodness.
All right, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
Catcher is going to be Ryan McChrystal.
Okay.
And your DH is going to be Alfredo Duno.
Yeah.
First base, Sal Stewart.
Ooh.
Second base is going to be 2029. Let's go Edwin Arroyo.
Okay.
Shortstop, Steele Hall. Third base, I'm not so sure about Kim Collier much anymore. So let's go with Ty Doucette. And then your outfield, just because Austin Hendrick, Hector Rodriguez is in the other corner, and your center fielder is Pablo Nunez.
All right, yeah.
Starting pitcher, Iker Rodona.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be crazy. Yeah,
nobody on this. Nobody's gonna know who these guys are.
Yeah. I got it flipped. I think McChrystal might be the DH and Duno at catcher. Stewart, Hansel Jimenez at second for me, with Edward Arroyo at short. And then at third base, Tyson Lewis, with Steele Hall actually in the outfield with H-Rod and Nunez. And starter in 2029, let's go with
Edgar Colon.
Starlin Torres.
There we go.
As your ace in 2029.
Or Aaron Watson. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Very well could be an ace.
He'll only be like 22 at the time.
Yeah.
So that'd be crazy.
21, 22, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. He's like 2007, I think, birthday. So
yeah. And hot take. Angel Nunez is in AAA that year, and he's knocking on the door.
Angel Nunez, yeah, we'll be right there too. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, well, there we go. There's your
there's our
prediction or 2029 prediction.
There's our 2029 Reds lineup that nobody knows who they are.
Well, we do. I think people, fans of the show, might at least a little bit. But anyway, let's look more to the more immediate future. We got two New York teams. Luckily, one at home and one at Yankee Stadium. Unfortunately, but the Reds always seem to love to play up against. I remember the 2024 season, they traveled to Yankee Stadium and swept the Yankees, I believe. So there's that possibility out there. And then the lowly Mets. I don't know. With this team, the way it is,
they're getting better.
Yeah, they are getting better, but we could lose the series being at home, even though we have Chase Burns going in game 1 tomorrow. Yeah. I don't know. This is a very tricky week, I feel, for these Reds. It could be a 2-4 week, or it could be a 4-2 week. It's gonna see which team shows up. Which team shows up for you, Ricky?
I hope the good version. but the Mets are 6-4 out of their last 10. They're not bad, as bad as they've been. Did you know there are 4 teams under 500 in the National League?
Only
4.
Wow.
There's one in the National League Central, yours truly. There's one in the National League East. That's the Mets. And then you have 2 in the NL West with the Giants and the Rockies, both under 30 wins.
Crazy. That's crazy. Loser Giants.
Loser Giants. But
Man.
and somehow the Brewers are at 43 wins, just 3 games behind the Braves for the best record in the National League. Just doesn't make sense. Don't know how they do it. That Jacob Mizorowski dude is unreal, and somehow they do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. But yeah, hopefully, we see Chase Burns, what you said, twice this week. Hopefully that's 2 wins, and we're not relying on the other guys losing the other games. Hopefully we get a win out of somebody else this week. And trying to see who we got. So tomorrow's game, we have Burns versus Myers. Tobias Myers for the Mets. Only has a 1.08 whip in 20 games, but he has a 4.05 ERA. So he's given up some runs, but I think it's more of a control problem for him and not he's not getting ran out of the door with hits. And on Tuesday, we have Brady Singer versus Christian Scott. 3.10 ERA, 1.35 whip, 47 strikeouts, and 40 in the 2/3 innings. He was a 2021 fifth-round draft pick. He's had a 2.88 ERA in his last 7 games. So he's been pretty well his last month of baseball or so.
Yeah.
And then we had Brady Singer. He pitched really well his last game out, I think, and it kind of gave us some hope that he can kind of turn it around. And you don't feel so terrible about a Brady Singer outing, although that was 1 game out of his 15 this season. So you would hope to see him to duplicate that and go out and get another one. And then on Wednesday we got Nick Lodolo versus McLean, and we got to McLean the last time we faced him. Gave up 7 runs. So hopefully we can do that again, and Lodolo has another good outing, because I think that was Lodolo's first good outing since his IL stint. He kind of got back to being Nick Lodolo versus the Mets, and he's been fairly well ever since. So hopefully those 3 games, hopefully we can get 2 out of that 3. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get right against the Mets, because the Mets have been terrible this year. Like I said, a little bit streaky, but a little bit on a uptick for the Mets, which maybe we could just slap them right back down. You know what I mean? We got Burns on.
Like, you're feeling good? Not anymore.
Exactly. Well, you could just remind them that they're still the Mets, I guess, is what we're hoping for. But yeah, the Yankee series will be interesting, because we've got, like I said, Burns on the Sunday game potentially, but it should be Louder on the Friday game, Abbott on the Saturday game. So you're feeling pretty good, but we also have to potentially face Cam Schlittler and Cole on the Sunday game. So it's gonna be rough. If we get 2 out of 3 against the Mets, I'd be okay with 1 out of 3 against the Yankees. Is basically how I would feel going into that series.
Yeah. You never really feel great going into New York for playing the Yankees. Their lineup's so good. Aaron Judge hasn't been Aaron Judge this year. He's not bad by any means. He's just not the Aaron Judge we're used to seeing. He's not the MVP Judge that we saw last year.
Isn't he hurt?
I think so.
His ribs.
And Cody Bellinger just loves playing the Reds. So there's that. So yeah, I don't. If you can get to their pitchers, I feel okay. But they are 43-27 this year, and just kind of go through some of their stats here. So you have Paul Goldschmidt is batting .295 with an .898 OPS. They just brought up. Was it Ben Rice or Spencer Jones? I think they just brought up, and he homered in his, I think it was his first game back. So Volpe hasn't looked great since his rookie year. 211 average, 627 OPS, lots of errors at shortstop. Yeah, I mean their lineup doesn't scream at you that they're going to be dominant, but like Bellinger's hitting 265, 823 OPS. Jason Dominguez, 211, 715 OPS, and that was somebody that the Reds were rumored to go after with trading Graham Ashcraft, and it's like the Yankees would have destroyed us in that trade if that would have been a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Dominguez is still really young. I think he's like 21 or 22, 23. So I get it, but I don't think Chris Valleca is going to fix his swing. And, Ben Rice, 293, 998 OPS, probably the best hitter on the Yankees currently that's active anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Yankees starter today was Will Warren. So that means he probably goes Saturday's game if they have the same like off day schedule as us. So we probably face him. He's 7-1, 3.47 ERA, 76 strikeouts, and 72 2/3, a 1.29 ERA. Struggled a little bit over his last 7, 4.63 ERA with 16 walks. So maybe we get to somebody. We get at least sneak away with 1 win, hopefully 2. But I think they split the week next week. I think that's a win if you split the week.
Yeah, 3-3 sounds great. I don't know why that in any other context makes sense, except for the one that we're in currently, where last week we won 1 game. This week we won 2. This week
let's make it 3.
Let's make it 3.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Get back to that 500 record and then see where we're at. I think the Cardinals are still frauds. We know the Cubs stink, and we know the Pirates are not going to make the playoffs, even though they have Fangraphs on their side. Whoop-de-doo, So we'll see. It could be different. I don't know. We have to have some sort of signs of encouragement because, man, it's going to be a rough summer if this team's going to be losing, 2 out of every 6 games and 4 out of every 16 games. It'd be a rough summer.
Yeah, it's not going to be. That's seller's territory right there. That's selling off any piece you have, and yeah.
But if that is the case, we are selling. We'll maybe get to see some of those guys that we talk about a lot in the minor leagues come up and maybe make a splash and maybe make some difference. We will definitely be covering that in Minor League Mondays, so check that out. We've had a lot of good performances this past week, and check that out. It'll debut on Monday. Sometime, we usually 10 a.m. So, Ricky, if you don't have anything else, we can sign off. And till then, go Reds.
Go Red.